Welcome to part 30 of the 2018 NFL Draft and Review. Today we will be looking at the 2018 Seattle Seahawks draft class, and this is one that's definitely underachieved compared to where I figured they'd be. But we'll start off with 27th overall pick, running back Rashad Penny, who now is, I believe, playing for the Eagles. And really, Rashad Penny never managed to really break out and establish himself. He had a pretty good 2021 season, but that was really about it. And he might get a shot now with the Eagles, but with the Eagles' quarterback pretty much being their primary runner at this point, I'm not really sure if he's going to do too much better with the Eagles than he did with the Seahawks. But he is the one player that I've picked for that actually has highlight reel over here, so we'll come over here and take a quick look at Rashad Penny from his best season, 2021.
Rashad Penny in the backfield takes the handoff from Wilson, and Penny picks up a first down and more. Pete Carroll was so excited. First and 10 midfield, Penny. Finds a gap. Quick throw. It's Penny dancing, slipping, driving, and chased out of bounds. What a catch and run!
Remember, and had that 81% completion in the last game, and powering his way as Rashad Penny near a first down. See a lot of him. Alex Collins battling that abdomen injury. He is available. Here's Penny again with a lot of room. First down up near the 48 of Seattle. Middle finger on his throwing hand hurt against the Rams. Penny. Rashad Penny shoving defenders away, and Penny has a Seahawk touchdown.
I think it's D. Eskridge right here. Watch him cross formation. He gets the key block. He just occupies the defender just enough, Terrence Mitchell right there, to allow Rashad Penny to get through, and then a really nice stiff arm with the last tackle attempt.
Both quarterbacks have been very accurate.
They're averaging over 10 yards per play in that first half.
Gets Rashad Penny. He's had a good day near another first down. Let's check in with Chen. 49ers have a tough game with the Bengals. Penny again showing tough yards and a burst of speed. Rashad Penny with his second touchdown of the day.
The one thing I will say that I noticed on both his touchdowns is a criticism that I had back in 2018. He slows down when he thinks he's in the clear. And that obviously can lead to you getting caught in the wrong situation, and that's the kind of flaw that kind of explains this, why he just continuously does not manage to get around guys like Chris Carson, the one they drafted this past year. I don't really know his name yet, just rarity for me. I keep up with a lot of players, it's hard to remember everybody. So I think even Marshawn Lynch got a bit of a nod when they brought him back. Yeah, over Penny like one or two times. It's just one of those players. We'll see what he does with the Eagles, but I don't really think that he's going to suddenly turn into something huge. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I just don't really see it happening. So, the next selection the Seahawks made is defensive end Rasheem Green. And while Green has been a passable player, I didn't really feel I could find enough to really see where it comes to this guy. So we're going to just now move over to basically the pure stats part of the things and go from there. So really the Seahawks have been the only team that's really let him start to any substantial capacity. 24 games in his first 4 seasons. And he did reasonably well in those years. You see the sack stats at the highest 2 seasons of his career, the 2 seasons where he started 8+ games for Seattle. And his tackles are also a lot better than when he's not really being let on the field. So He's since moved on to Houston. I think they're now playing him at defensive line, which works out for him. He's good defensive end, outside linebacker. You can shift him around to either one, so I'd say it really depends whether or not Houston wants to give him a shot, because really, Houston doesn't have much right now, so I really don't see why they wouldn't, but then again, this is the Texans. It's not like they have a particular history of good decision-making. So, in the 4th round, the only pick that Seattle actually owned before this draft is tight end Will Dissly. And Dissly hasn't been a bad player, but he's not the sort of tight end that I really like. He's largely seeming to be your typical blocking type of tight end. And, well, I don't criticize that. I don't like it either. It's a remnant of an era long since gone. The tight end needs to be important in the passing game. That's just how it goes anymore. And Will Dissly is just not very important in the passing game. He can sometimes be a reasonable, red zone sort of target, but that's, for a team like Seattle, you need a player that can do that better than he can. And especially in a time of turmoil for the team when you've just went from Russell Wilson, Geno Smith. I, for one, do not expect Geno Smith to hold the pace he did last season, Let's pump the brakes here. It's one good season in like a 10, 11-year career. So, overall, yeah, if you want to run with a blocking tight end sort of scheme, then yeah, Will Dissly's just fine. But if you really want to do anything else to have that extra versatile option within your offense, then Will Dissly is not the guy. So, this really comes down to how you would judge this pick. I judge it on the modern concept of offense of the NFL. This wasn't a very good selection. Next, we have the unfortunate failure of this class, and that is Shakim Griffin. And the reason I say unfortunate is because this guy made it to the NFL while simultaneously not having a hand. He had to have his one of his hands amputated at a very young age due to, I believe, some sort of disorder or whatnot that he was born with that caused that hand to be underdeveloped and quite painful to have, according to what I've read. So, for him to have made it to the NFL in a way that is a complete success within itself. Just the fact that he got this stat line without a hand, it says a lot to the guy's dedication to not giving up on the game of football. But unfortunately, that handicap mixed, I think, with a little bit of Seattle really only picking him to let him play with his brother Shaquille, it really just kind of goes to and it just ends up with the result that it did, that a guy that I think, in spite of his handicap, could have actually been a pretty good player, didn't really get a chance to do much more than that, and ended up retiring after just 4 seasons. So, it's a shame to see how it turned out, but credit where credit's due. The guy is, in my eyes, just a rare breed of fighter that just kept on pushing and got to the end of the road in his own way. So, next we have the next 5th rounder, cornerback Trey Flowers, and this is one of those ones that's kind of been slowly fizzling out, I would say. He started 40 games with Seattle out of 47, but since he's been with the Bengals, he's only started 1 game. And like I said, this is one of those players that the stat line does kind of show some of the weaknesses. The tackles are a bit high for a corner. The pass deflections aren't very high past his first 2 seasons. Not very good at getting interceptions. Usually can get involved when there's a ball on the ground, but still, it's just... This is not really one of those players, by the looks of it, that anyone really wants to put in the center spotlight for an extended period of time. So we've seen him kind of declining these past 2 years. I'd say with the Bengals, he's now a pretty firm backup. And I need to take a drink because my mouth is dry. Much better. Okay, so that brings us to the only real permanent starter of this class, and anytime the guy who is the permanent starter of a draft class is the punter, you know I'm going to have some ridiculing to the organization to do. Yeah, it's... He doesn't appear to be a bad punter, you know. I'll give them that much. They got a good guy for this. You know, he's good at pinning balls inside the 20. He's good at avoiding touchbacks. You know, return yards are usually kind of low, and he's got a really, really good yards per punt average. But the simple fact remains is that this guy's usually punting 65 plus times, and that does not imply a particularly well-run offense, in which Seattle is not. So, like I said, when the best player of a class is a punter, that is an objective failure to me. Especially, you know, this isn't like it's a 4-pick class. This is, I believe that's 9 selections. 9 selections and the best player's a punter? What the fuck are you doing? So, moving along, offensive tackle Jamarco Jones. He's played some 36 games, 7 starts, and, well, consider all things considered, he's not really been able to stay on the field, which implies even in offensive lines as bad as Seattle's, he's not very good. That is just... Literally all you've got to do is not be a total dumpster fire, and you will probably be able to replace somebody on this offensive line. And he couldn't do that, so... Just not one of those picks of this is why the Seahawks have had problems. Next, 6th round defensive end, Jacob Martin. Now, I think Martin's actually started at least a couple games in the NFL, so yeah. 2021, he did start a good chunk of the season for the Jets, or the Texans, and, well, didn't really put too great stats on the line. 2 forced fumbles, which is pretty good, but 4 sacks, 23 tackles, not as good, so... Since then, he was shipped around between Denver and the Jets, and didn't really do much there either, so this guy's kind of just serving as that decent depth option, but you don't really want him to be starting very much. And the final pick, which was the absolute just throwing your last selection in the garbage disposal, is quarterback Alex McGough. And he's since moved on to the USFL and isn't doing too terribly with the Birmingham Stallions, but he isn't doing super great either. It's one of those deals that he's probably, I would say at this point, pretty well done with the NFL. Isn't that special in lower leagues, and it's just, why select a guy like this? I didn't care for this selection at all. You know, they had a quality backup at the time. They had Russell Wilson for a starter. There was no reason for that. But overall, though, something possessed me to give this class an A. I figured that a lot more of the front six would do more, and really that hasn't materialized. Penny's a quality backup, but not really a starter. Green could be a starter. Disley's a blocking tight end. Griffin's already retired. Flowers is falling away from the starting role. And that's kind of left Dixon as the best pick of the class. So I'd have to bring this all the way down to about a D+. And something I actually noticed when I was looking through my notes on this class, I actually called the Seahawks trading Russell Wilson in 2021. I was off by a year. This organization is so pathetically predictable in its just continuous belief that if you trade a star player early into your 30s, you're somehow avoiding paying them down the road, when in reality, all you're fucking doing is hamstringing yourself. Like I said, I have heavy disdain for this organization. The fact that Pete Carroll's still coaching the league is a joke to me. So, but, small rant aside, that's going to do it for today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you tomorrow for the 2018 Arizona Cardinals draft class.